Space Marines are sent to investigate strange events at a research facility on Mars, but find themselves at the mercy of genetically enhanced killing machines.
Oh, yes.
Directed by Andrei Barkoviak. Now, Andrei Barkoviak, a fine career. Let me read off his IMDb real quick.
Okay.
He is a DP. He's done a lot of cinematography, DP work, and he's done like Terms of Endearment, Twins, Prizzy's Honor, Losing Isaiah, Speed. He did the Living on the Edge music video, the Aerosmith video, Dante's Peak, Devil's Advocate, Jade. Ooh. I know you're a big fan of the joke and 40-year-old version about.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Any Jade joke I can get, I'll take.
Now his filmography as a director is a little more hit or miss. Romeo Must Die was the Jet Li Aaliyah movie, if I am correct.
Yeah, isn't DMX in that too?
Is DMX in that one? I'm clicking on it right now.
I thought it was.
Jet Li, Aaliyah, DMX, Isaiah Washington, and Delroy Lindo. God, that's a cast.
That's a hell of a cast.
I've seen that. I could not tell you anything about it.
No, I don't remember anything about it.
Exit Wounds, which I believe is another DMX movie. It is, with Steven Seagal. I've definitely seen it.
Yeah.
Yes, I've definitely
you've seen that. Come on. That's a marriage of two things you love.
I don't remember hating it. Cradle to the Grave, which is a Jet Li and DMX movie. He's done Jet Li, DMX, and Mark Dacascos. So he's done he has done the DMX trilogy.
He has. Yeah, he's directed DMX 3 times. Done 2 Jet Li DMX collabs. I mean,
yes,
it's fantastic.
His last big-ish movie was After Doom in 2009, and I know you're a fan of this movie. Another great video game adaptation. It was Street Fighter: The Legend of Chudley.
Oh man, yeah, that's everybody should see that movie. And I mean everybody, at least to see Chris Klein.
If you don't, you can watch the YouTube clips. I prefer watching the entire movie because it's one of those movies that's not very exciting. So when Klein shows up in his wild-eyed glory, it really takes it by storm.
It's a celebration of life when Klein shows up. Plus, it's got Robin Shou, which we didn't get nearly enough Robin Shou, just in general in our lives. So yeah.
So there you go. We're talking about Doom, though. Willie, what do you think? Tell me all about your thoughts on Doom, and tell me like the old Dishwalla song.
Oh man, yeah, a Dishwalla song's pretty good actually. I saw Doom in the theater. I don't know why. If I'm being honest, I wasn't like. I was a wrestling fan at the time, so maybe it was because The Rock was in it. Maybe. I can't tell you why I saw it in the theater. I just know that I did. And I remember thinking, man, this movie feels like a video game in a lot of ways, which is something that I did not have to say about a lot of video game adaptations at this point. What I mean by that, and I still feel the same way, is like the map of the movie feels like a video game map. Like the geography of this film. Like they're constantly like leaving this room and going to another room to like check out a wing of this space station and then returning to the room with new information or items. Like it feels like a video game to me.
Do you keep wanting to pause the movie to take a look at the map real quick before you go on to the next?
Kind of, yeah, kind of. I don't know if that's by design or just the nature of the fact that like this movie didn't have a huge budget, and so they probably only had so many sets in which to shoot. I'm not sure, but it kind of works. Like it does feel like a video game. Like you've been dropped in this space station, and you have to discover the mystery of what's happened to the people, the scientists on board. The characters are by and large just kind of archetypes. I mean, they are. It's nothing you haven't seen before if you've watched any sort of like tough guys in space fighting monsters movie, and there's a lot of those, or just tough guys fighting creatures movies. in general. There's, you know, the nasty, creepy guy that you just want to see killed. There's the big, tough, hulking monster guy that kicks ass but inevitably gets killed by the monster. There's the dweeb. There's the, you know, tough leader of the pack. There's the kind of silent badass and the great. Like, there's all of these things. They're all tropes of this type of film, and they're all present, and they're all fine, and they all serve their purpose. I dig that this movie really leans into practical effects. I'll say that. This was a time when I think they easily could have thrown CG stuff at you consistently.
Stan Winston.
And
right? Stan Winston.
Yeah,
Was on this.
Yep. His studio worked on the creature effects. They could have easily done that, and at the time it would have been fine. But this movie would not have aged well at all from an effects standpoint if they'd done that, because CG effects in 2005 were not what they are today, and CG effects in general don't age well. It's just the nature of the beast. Low budget, high budget. Even like you watch The Matrix, and The Matrix is a great film, right? But like you recognize those effects feel very of the time. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I think with practical, that's not as much of an issue, because what you're seeing was on set and was being interacted with by the actors on set. There are good practical effects and bad practical effects, but regardless, what you're seeing is at least a tangible, physical presence on set. So I appreciate them going for that with the creature effects. It's a bit of a smorgasbord of stuff. There's a little Predator in here, a little Aliens in here, a little bit of the Doom video games in here. It's just kind of like a nice stew, or a jambalaya, if you will. It's just they're taking stuff that has worked in previous sci-fi horror creature features and kind of dumping it in the pot and storing it around and spewing it out, and this is what you get. And it mostly works. I think. I do think it's a little bit of a boring movie for what it's adapting. There's never a point in which I'm bored playing a Doom game. Doom games tend to be like run through corridors and blast everything in your way. You know what I mean? Like there's a very fast-paced, frenetic vibe to Doom games. It's not like a Resident Evil game where you're taking your time to investigate something or figure out a puzzle, or the pacing is different in Doom. And this movie definitely drags for a while in the middle, considering the fact that it is an adaptation of a game that is so fast-paced and is so action-heavy. But
it's not an express train to hell, like The Rock said, right?
It is not. It is not.
It's like an Uber.
It's a bit of an Uber with maybe like a driver who is not in a hurry. And we've all been there. No, I mean it's like I think it's a fun time, and I think it picks up. You had said everything builds to, and this is you, so I'm stealing your thunder here a little bit. You had mentioned everything builds to that first person sequence. And you couldn't be more on point, because it does. There are cool, fun suspense moments here sprinkled throughout, maybe a brief action bit here and there throughout, some cool creature stuff, but like everything builds to that, the frenetic energy of that first-person sequence. And the movie does roll from then on, and I enjoy that last, I guess, third of the movie, or the final act, I guess, quite a bit. And I think it really, really feels like a Doom movie, even if the plot's not exactly the same as the games and they change things, blah, blah, blah. Like, it feels like a Doom movie. Everything leading up to that is okay. You know, it's okay. So yeah, great third act, tons of fun, had just an absolute blast, including the hammy rock performance. Everything building up to that is fine. it's kind of like the boring parts of all the Resident Evil movies for the first hour of this movie, if I'm being honest. Right. And then like the last bit is like kick ass and sweet. It is an express elevator to hell. Or whatever the hell the Rock said. It takes its time to get there, but it does get there. So he didn't lie to us. He just maybe exaggerated a bit. So what do you think, Tim?
This movie. So the thing is, I watched this movie and I texted you, and then I also jumped on our Discord immediately. And this is why I don't post anything anymore, like online. Because I said, I still like this movie. I still like Doom. And then like a day later, I regretted that. Like, do I like this movie, or do I just like you said, the last like 15 to 20 minutes of this movie from the first person shooter thing on? Because when you finish the movie and then you get into the kind of cool closing credits that are like a video game as well, like you leave on a high with this movie. And the big issue is, like you mentioned, the first hour or so of this movie, it's pretty much on the same level, which is pretty mediocre, kind of boring sometimes. Some of the characters are not real deep. Okay, they're not deep at all, but it does redeem itself with that first person shooter sequence, which honestly is about the only reason I think this movie was made. So let's do this. Let's see if I can, because the other thing is I said I liked it, and then I realized like a day later, I'm like, I can't remember any of this movie. So
it's one of those movies, right? Yes. Where like you watch it and like, okay, that was fine. Like I'm not mad about, spending my time or money on that. But then like the next day you're like, what was that movie? Like what happened? I remembered going into this, Tim, and I've seen this movie a couple times. I think you and I watched this, by the way, like not long after we first met.
Okay. Together.
I think you and I watched it on the house, like my friend who I lived with at the time, his couch. I think you and I either drunkenly or the next day hungover watched this on the couch.
This seems definitely like something we did.
I'm pretty sure it was something we would do, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. So anyway, but it totally is that movie where you go, what did I watch? Like what happened in that movie? And I only remember two things going into this movie, and it was like I remember the big giant cool badass monster black dude fighting the monster in the pit.
Okay.
I remembered that. And I remember the first person sequence. That was it. Like those are the two things I remember from the movie. So anyway, continue.
Let's try to jog our memory here. I'll stop after each paragraph here.
Okay. Yes.
In 2026, a wormhole portal, the Ark, to an ancient city on Mars is discovered deep below the Nevada desert. Yeah.
That seems like a stretch. I don't think we're going to get there by 4 years from now.
20 years later, the 85 personnel at the Union Aerospace Corporation, the UAC research facility on Mars, are attacked by an unknown assailant. Following a distress call sent by Dr. Carmack, love his nuts, a squad of 8 Marines are sent to the research facility. The team includes squad leader Sergeant Asher, Sarge, Mahonen, Duke, Goat, Destroyer, Portman, Natalie's brother, Mac.
You're naming all these characters and I have no idea which ones they are.
A rookie named Kid, and John Luther Grimm. Okay, so let's stop.
Oh yeah, now we're talking. Okay. I can tell you who 3 of those people are.
Okay,
Destroyer's the big cool black dude.
Okay.
Because his name's Destroyer. Like he's obviously that guy. Like he's a
Who's
badass.
Richard Brake? Is he Goat?
No, I think he's Portman.
I'm looking right now.
Because I remember thinking, like,
Ben
why does he have a dorky name? Like, why is he not like Weasel or something? Like, why is he like? It doesn't make sense. And then obviously John Grimm, of course.
Yes,
our hero.
So this is essentially what we've got here is just an Aliens ripoff, right? Is what we're dealing with here.
And there's been so many, right? I mean,
by this point, we're all exhausted. Yeah.
There's a little bit of Predator in here too. There's a little bit more Predator influence than I think people maybe have. Aliens is the obvious one, but Predator, there's some Predator in here too, because it is the like, look at us, we're a badass squad of guys. We're going to go in here and whoop some ass and take care of business and then like get annihilated. there's a bit of that in here too. So
this is a pretty unlikable group though. Like they just like, and it's not even so much. Well, Richard Portman is very unlikable because he's just gross and skeezy.
Oh, he's dripping sleaze. Yeah, which is Richard Brake. I mean, like that's kind of what he does. That's his thing.
But the rest, they just kind of snipe at each other, just kind of shitty towards each other. Like you don't like being around them much.
No. There's no element of camaraderie here. Like that's one thing like I think they get wrong in so many of these kind of like Alien ripoffs, air quotes, is that with Aliens, yes, there were quips and there was, jokes back and forth and there was some sniping at each other, but like they always felt, I thought in Aliens to be like there were established relationships and like at the end of the day they were gonna like help each other in like dangerous situations. There was a camaraderie there, regardless of clashing personalities. In so many of these ripoffs, including Doom, like they just keep the quippy and the sniping, and they remove any and all of the actual like camaraderie element of the team. Like, yeah. So it makes them unlikable. It makes them just feel like a bunch of jerks who like are forced to be near each other, which might be more realistic. I don't know, but.
So they are sent on a search and destroy mission to Mars, with UAC only concerned with the retrieval of computer data from their anthropology, archaeology, and genetic experiments. The team uses the Ark to reach Mars, ordering the Earth site on lockdown. Arriving on Mars, they are met by UAC employee Pinky. Reaper finds his twin sister, Dr. Sam Grimm, and escorts her to retrieve the data. So, I don't know why I'm getting such a kick out of this. He learns
it's funny as hell, dude. You just mentioned a character named Pinky and Sam Grimm.
I don't know. To retrieve the data is such like a video game objective. It's such a generic.
Perfect. It's perfect.
He learns that at a dig site where their parents were accidentally killed earlier was reopened. The dig site was reopened, and ancient skeletons of a humanoid race genetically enhanced with an artificial 24th chromosome pair were discovered. So we have talked about the games. I assume this is from the games. I don't know. Is this from the games?
No, I don't think so. I think like the Mars thing is like they go to Mars. Like, okay, look, I apologize if you're a Doom fan. I'm probably going to annoy you right now. Here's my understanding of the Doom games. There's experiments done on Mars that open up a portal to hell, to like biblical hell on Mars, and demons come out and people get possessed and turn into like, kind of like zombie-esque. We see some of that in this movie actually, like zombie type soldiery people, but there's also like hell demons that shoot laser beams and fireballs at you and stuff like that. This removes the hell, the biblical hell aspect, and makes it into like an ancient alien race thing. So right. I'm sure that's by design. I'm sure that's like we don't want to piss off the Catholics too much, but I don't know why. I guess. I
will say this: I googled Doom real quick, and the video game, the covers to the games are bitchin'. Like,
they're so sweet, dude. They look like the coolest. Like, I want those covers spray painted on a van.
Yeah,
that I own.
The Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil expansion pack is just like a flames and like a skull that's flying out of them. It fucking rules.
It's perfect.
It looks like
it rules.
Dio album.
It does.
Yeah, it does. While searching for survivors in the, do you have anything to say about Dr. Sam Grimm before we move on?
No,
Rosamund Pike from coming fresh off of Die Another Day, the best Bond movie.
Rosamund Pike, she, I've always liked her until Gone Girl.
Okay, I have not seen Gone Girl.
Yeah, she's either so good in that, she's so good in that movie that I have a hard time watching her in stuff because she pisses me off so much in Gone Girl. So there you go. Have you looked up the Doom and Doom 2 covers for the original games? Well, we're on the air right now. Please look up the covers for Doom and Doom 2.
Are you talking about him shooting at the big beast in Doom 2?
So
Doom 2 cover?
The Doom cover is him surrounded by demons and just unloading some sort of space gun.
Oh yeah.
Them. And then the Doom 2 cover, yes, is him fighting some sort of giant hell beast. It's so sweet. The covers are the best. Anyway, sorry, continue.
While searching for survivors in the facility, the Marines find a traumatized and injured Dr. Carmack and escort him to the medical lab for treatment, but he later disappears. The Marines shoot an unknown creature in the genetics lab that leads them down into the facility sewer, where it attacks and kills Goat.
This is a video game. We're doing genetics labs and sewers. This is a video game.
They kill the creature and take it to the medical lab, where Sam performs an autopsy and discovers that its organs are human. She and Duke witness Goat resurrecting and killing himself by smashing I like that part. By smashing his head against a reinforced window. I dug that part. The two are attacked by a creature, trap it, and soon deduce that it is a mutated Dr. Carmack. All right, that's the end of that. So, real quick, I wanted to touch on the writer actually of this.
Sure.
Did you seek out any of the old screenplay? Because there were other versions of these. Like they had been trying to get this movie off the ground for a while before it was made, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I did seek on our Discord. Please feel free to check us out on Patreon. Shameless plug.
Yes.
To join our Discord, to join the conversation we're having there. We have a friend on the Discord who has a show of his own, Screenplay Archaeology. Another shameless plug. And I asked him. I said, "Hey, are you familiar with the? Are these available? There's an Alan Mcelroy script for Doom that was written that exists, but it is not out there in the open. This was apparently the script that was. Was
this Arnold? Was Arnold attached?
Arnold was attached.
Okay.
To play the lead.
So he would have played the Carl Urban character?
I mean, I don't know if it would have been the Carl.
You're right, because it would have been, yeah. Yep.
Because I think the lead character in the Doom games is just Doom Guy. He's like the nameless badass who fights demons. I don't think there's really a backstory to him that I'm aware of. I think they've changed him to call him, he's not Doom Guy anymore, he's Doomslayer, which is pretty sweet. Super cool.
I kind of like the simplicity of
Doom Guy rules. Yeah. If they ever put him in Smash Brothers, he should be called Doom Guy. But apparently it's not readily available. There's not a ton of information on it, so I don't know exactly if it's I don't know if it's more faithful to the games or if they borrowed elements of that. If you've ever done any reading on abandoned scripts, and I know Tim, you've read plenty, especially on the Halloween series, because you've let me borrow your copies of the elements of previous drafts that are completely unrelated from different writers tend to find their way into the next draft. And I think that generally is a studio thing. But so I wouldn't be shocked if there are similar elements that came over from the Mcelroy script into this. But yeah, I don't know. I'd love to read it. I would.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Studio filmmaking is such a strange beast, because you're right. They probably read drafts and they earmark certain stuff that they can budget for, and then they carry it over into it's such a weird, and it's part of the reason why I do my best not to blame writers if a movie is bad. Because,
well, yeah, for sure. No, they're a studio. You're 100% right. They go through, and even if they reject a script, they're going to like certain elements of it. And oftentimes, for whatever reason, they either want a new set of eyes on it, or they don't want to keep that particular writer attached for whatever reason it might be. But they like certain elements, and they will. That's like a mandate. It's like write your script, but this sequence needs to stay.
Right.
Find a way to frame your script around this sequence or around this plot element or whatever. So it's funny how that.
The classic Kevin Smith, John Peters giant spider robot from Superman Returns story. That's on one of the Evening with Kevin Smith, where he talks about how John Peters was it John Peters, I think, would
I
not
believe
let
so,
go.
Yeah.
He wanted this giant spider robot in Superman Returns, and Smith tried to put it in, and then the movie didn't get made, and then in Wild Wild West there it was, the giant spider robot. A few years later he finally got it.
He loved the giant spider robot so much he had to have it. And one thing that I think we people forget is like producers sometimes want to be writers.
Yes.
And producers, but they don't want to write a lot of the time. They just want to be able to say, I'm the one who shepherded that idea. I'm the one that made that idea happen. And oftentimes it is to the detriment of the actual finished product. Not always, but oftentimes. So
this is written by David Callahan, and I'm bringing it up because he has some recent credits that are interesting and movies that we like. He wrote, this was his first like big movie, and actually his first kind of screenplay ever, but he also wrote the screenplay for the first Expendables, but recently he did Wonder Woman 1984, which was not well received, but he also did the Mortal Kombat from 2021. He wrote that movie. Wait.
What was his name?
This is David Callahan.
Interesting. I think Greg Russo wrote
this says
Mortal Kombat.
He's got him credited for the screenplay on IMDb. So yeah, Greg Russo and him, I guess. So the story was
okay.
Uziel. So it may have been a collaboration, yes. But he also wrote Shang-Chi, and he's got a credit on that, along with a couple other writers. But he wrote that as well, and he's currently working on the Into the Spider-Verse sequels. So
interesting.
An interesting filmography from Dave Callahan, but who was a younger writer when he wrote Screen, with Wesley Strick as the other one on there. But that was the one that caught my eye. All right, let's get back into this plot. The squad methodically tracks down and destroys several of the creatures, though Mac, Destroyer, and Portman die in the process. Thank goodness Portman's out of there, real scuzz bucket. An angered Sarge kills the mutated Dr. Carmack. Sam, Reaper, and Sarge learn that UAC was experimenting on humans using the Martian chromosome C24, harvested from the remains of the ancient skeletons. But the mutants got loose, leading to the outbreak. Sam and Reaper try to convince Sarge that the creatures are humans from the facility mutated by the C24 serum, and that not all of those infected will fully transform into the creatures. Sam hypothesizes that some of those injected with C24 will develop superhuman abilities but retain their humanity. It's a nice little gift. While others with a predisposition for violent or psychotic behavior will become creatures, a pattern she believes also happened with the Martians who built the Ark to escape. I want to talk about Karl Urban real quick, because he is the lead, John Grimm, in this. Karl Urban, this was 2005. So I don't think this sounds kind of, and I like Karl Urban a lot, and we'll talk about stuff I like him in. I don't like him much in this movie. I think he's kind of bland in this movie and boring. And I don't want to put it all on him. I think some of it's the writing, and I think some of it's directing, and I think some of it is just, it's not a particularly interesting character. I also think Rock gets to have more fun in this movie, and he's stuck playing kind of the straight man. What's your opinion on old Karl Urban's performance in Doom?
Yeah, I mean, he's boring. I really like Karl Urban, and like so what Lord of the Rings films had come out at this point? He had shot them all, but where were we at with that?
So this is these are his credits to this point. There's not many of them, so I'm just gonna, some TV stuff. He also did some Xena. He did a few episodes of Xena, 12 episodes, but he did Ghost Ship. Karl Urban was in Ghost Ship.
Okay, no one ever remembers that movie. They remember the opening sequence.
The Two Towers and Return of the King had been out, and also Chronicles of Rivet. He played Vaco in Chronicles of Rivet.
Oh boy,
he was kind of known best at this point for his brief role in the Born Supremacy. I remember thinking, people thought he was really cool in that. Like, I remember him getting some buzz coming out of.
He's like an assassin, right? In Supremacy. Yeah. Okay, so no, this is I guess, if you look at that filmography, the movies that have recently been released, I think Return was 04? Return of the King, I think, was 04.
03.
03. So there was some Karl Urban buzz, I think. I would say he was on the same level at this point in time as an Orlando Bloom, where he had made his break in those Lord of the Rings movies. They were hugely popular, and he was starting to take relatively decent-sized roles in American films. The difference here was Karl Urban, I think, got saddled with roles that were not great most of the time, or they were cool roles that he excelled in, but they were smaller roles, like a Born Supremacy. So I liked Karl Urban at this point. I don't think he's great in this movie, and I think you're right. I think a lot of it has to do with the character and the way he's written. He's written as the Cypher, so he is the audience surrogate in a lot of ways. Yes, he's got his own unique backstory and his connection to his sister and so on and so forth, but he's written to be this stoic badass who... He's broken man haunted past, to quote Wedding Crashers. He's like that hero who, like, we know that he had a tough upbringing, like, but he doesn't let anybody in. He's cold and calculated, but he's got a heart of gold underneath. Those characters are always kind of bland and boring. Yeah. They have their place certainly in movies like this, action movies and stuff, but like, he's just a little bit. He doesn't do anything to make that character in the script do anything beyond what it does on the page. There's no, but I think it's because he's a young actor. I don't think he's done it. He hasn't been a leading man, you know. And I think that if you watch the trajectory of his career and you watch what he's done since then, I think Karl Urban's fantastic. We were just talking about The Boys.
Yes.
I mean, he's.
I think he's kind
really
of found
good.
I think he's found his role. Like, I think that's the best role of his career in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
he's great in it. Yeah. He's great. He's great in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but everybody is. I mean, that those movies are their own kind of perfect beast, in my opinion. But he's great on The Boys, and like, what I like about Karl Urban is, like, Karl Urban is an actor who has never been afraid to. He doesn't seem to have that, like, Hollywood leading man pretentiousness about him, where, like, he's not afraid to take roles that are not going to be terribly flattering, even when he is the leading man. The Boys is not a flattering, like, he's kind of gross and, like, dirty and nasty in The Boys. Judge Dredd, or Dredd.
He loves the Dredd character, right?
Dude, he loves it, and you don't see his face once in that movie. It rules. Like, there are not many actors who would agree to that shit. I'm sorry, there are not. Not many actors of his kind of where he's at. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think that rules. That tells me everything I need to know about Karl Urban. I feel like that's enough for me to say, like, yeah, I like this guy. But no, is he great in Doom? No, he's not great in Doom. But you know. He serves his purpose. He's our leading man, and he's kind of a cipher for the audience. He's the guy that we have to root for purely because everybody else is so shitty. Right. That we have to root for Karl Urban because he's less shitty than the rest.
So I'm going to blow through this ending here as fast as I can so we can get out of here. Some creatures use the Ark to reach Earth, where they slaughter or mutate the research staff. The Marines, Sam and Pinky follow, and Sarge orders the squad to sanitize the entire facility. When Kid informs Sarge that he found but refuses to kill a group of survivors, Sarge executes Kid for insubordination, leading to a standoff with an armed Pinky.
This is what Rock liked, by the way. Yes, this is the stuff that Rock liked. This stuff he wanted to get his hands dirty. Yeah.
The group is suddenly attacked by creatures who kill Duke and drag Sarge and Pinky away. Reaper is wounded by a ricocheting bullet. To prevent him from bleeding to death, Sam injects her brother with the C-24 serum, despite his concern that his violent past predisposes him to transform into a creature. Reaper regains consciousness and finds his wounds have healed and that Sam has gone missing. Using his new C-24 superhuman abilities, he fights his... I wish that I had C-24 superhuman abilities.
Be so sweet.
I would also fight my way through a facility, even battling a mutated and monstrous Pinky, before finding Sam with Sarge, who has become infected and has murdered the group of survivors Kid had previously found. Reaper and Sarge battle, both of them enhanced with superhuman powers. Reaper is able to gain the upper hand and throws Sarge through the Ark back to Mars, along with a grenade which destroys Sarge and the Mars facility. Reaper then carries his unconscious sister into the elevator and rides back up to the ground level in Nevada. So that's it real quick before we get out of here. I do want to talk about The Rock a little bit.
Yeah.
This is that third act kind of belongs to him in some ways. He gets to say "Semper Fi, motherfucker," and he really nails that line. We mentioned it. I think this is Rock. I think this is the most interesting point in his career because let's jump into his filmography real quick.
I mean, I think you're like as you're doing that. I think you're right. I here's the thing about The Rock. At a certain point, he's not an actor anymore. Like The Rock is a brand now.
Right.
So there are three kind of phases to The Rock's career, in my opinion. And I'm just spitballing here. This is just off the top of my head. There is the early phase where he is wrestler turned actor. Right?
Yes.
He's not being taken super seriously as an actor. You know, he's done bit parts on TV, like a lot of wrestlers do at that point. He's done Mummy Returns and Scorpion King, like you said, Walking Tall. And then there's like I want to be an actual actor Rock, like a serious actor Rock.
Yes.
Which is another interesting.
Yeah, real quick, I'm gonna name off starting in 2005 because Doom is in 2005. Yeah. Earlier this year, he had done Be Cool, which is not a very good movie, but he is very good in it.
And that's what I mean by like I want to like be taken seriously. I'm going to take roles that are not
what you would expect.
Action movies. Yes.
Because he also did Southland Tales in 2006, Gridiron Gang, which is kind of like an inspirational sports movie. He got to act a little bit there.
But that's not an obvious choice either.
No, it's not. And I think he's quite good. And also, you know what? Around this time, and it's weird. This is going to come out weird, but I don't know how to put it. It's my favorite version of the Rock body because he slims down and he's not a hulking monster. Like,
yeah.
Yes. He also has a great cameo in the Reno 911 movie.
It's incredible. It's so good.
But he did The Game Plan, which is a kids movie, Disney kids movie. He did a couple Disney movies around this time. He did Get Smart, which is another comedy. The Other Guys, which he is fantastic in. But then once Fast 5 hits, I think that's when he starts to get into, because that's when he starts making, when he gets kind of his
this is movie star Rock.
This is movie star Rock. Yeah.
So he, and he's got a weird period, right? If you look at his filmography, follow along with us, audience. He's got this weird period where Fast 5 hits, and he's kind of still trying to figure out exactly what he's doing here, because you get Journey 2, which is him dabbling in stuff that he'd become certainly better known for later with the Jumanji movies and Jungle Cruise. Then you got Snitch, which is him kind of dipping back into like, am I an action guy? Then you got G.I. Joe, which is a studio saying, can we have The Rock save our franchise?
Yes.
So like you've got this interesting... And then you got Pain and Gain, which is the weird, like, I'm going to try and do like a thing. Like I am actor, Dwayne Johnson.
Yes.
And then you get full on, I think from then on to now, you get full on, I am The Rock, I am the brand.
Yeah.
And it's like Hercules, Furious 7, San Andreas, Central Intelligence, more Fast and the Furious movies, Baywatch, Jumanji movies, Rampage.
His most interesting role there is the voice of Moana. The voice of Maui in Moana. And I think it might be, in some ways, the role that like is most beloved for him in this. In this era, which is kind of fun, funny, but yeah, you're right. Red Notice. Rock is also a guy, and I think following his career, you can see this. He's also a guy that I don't want to say he gets bored, but once he hits a certain level of something, I don't think Rock is under the impression that he's ever going to win an Oscar, which is what he would be like the next step in his acting career. So you can tell he's kind of, I don't want to say he's checked out because in his own way, but he's become a movie star and he acts like The Rock. He doesn't do much beyond acting like The Rock a lot of the times. And I think he's just become this brand. And it's almost like he has gone into, it's not almost like he's gone into other ventures. He's got his like tequila brand and he
has gone into the same mode that
flirted with politics. Yeah.
Yep. He's gone into the exact same trajectory, just in a different time period with obviously slight variations as Arnold did. Honestly, he has. Right. Arnold was a bodybuilder, was not an actor. was cast purely because of his physical looks.
I lost you there, but
that's exactly why The Rock got his.
Yeah, I agree with what
start
you are
with
saying.
Like the Mummy Returns and stuff like that. Like it was like,
Willie,
look at the guy.
Oh no,
like,
you're back. Can you hear me, Willie?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I tried to kill time. We lost you there, but
no, you're good. The Rock followed the same trajectory, in my opinion, that Arnold did in a lot of ways, where he started off as somebody who was not considered an actor, took roles that were lower budget, that maybe were not, that just to try and break in. They wound up working out relatively well and found his groove and became an action, became a brand. Like Arnold became Arnold. Like you say Arnold and you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like there's no you don't have to say the last name. He is a brand, Arnie. And The Rock or Dwayne is a brand. Like there's a very similar, I think, trajectory to those two careers. And I'll be honest, I think The Rock is a better actor than Arnold ever was. I love Arnold. It's not a knock on him. I would love to see The Rock try and stretch a little bit. Just give something a shot. Because I think he'd do better than he thinks he would do. Or his management thinks he would do. I would love to see him try something. But that being said, I do think we will see him try stuff as he gets a bit older, like we've seen with Arnold. Because Arnold did some interesting stuff there for a little bit.
Right. So lost you again there, Willie, but I just wanted to add on to what you're saying too.
Just odd stuff, So
Yeah, we lost you again there for a second, but I wanted to add on what you're saying, then we'll get out of here because we seem to be having some problems. Yeah. But I do want to also say that because there are actors like John Cena and Batista that come from professional wrestling, and Rock was really that first guy to break through in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. I know Hulk Hogan did some stuff.
He tried.
Yes. Yes. And there were other wrestlers, Terry Funk, of course. Kevin Nash had done some stuff.
I mean, I love Suburban Commando, but
Rock was the first one to really kind of break through and kind of blaze a trail for a lot of the wrestler turned actors that came after him. And I think a lot of those roles that we talked about around this time kind of opened it up for people like Batista to maybe take some different roles and have pro wrestlers be seen in a different light.
Hollywood. For sure. So, and I think Cena's doing some interesting stuff too now. Honestly, sure. Cena, as he does action movies and he plays, tough guys. He's done fast movies at this point, but like Peacemaker, which I have not watched, sadly. I promise soon I will. Like Peacemaker's a really interesting thing for him to do, I think.
And he's done a lot of comedies too. He's done stuff like Blockers, and I can't remember the other thing, but he's done some good work. Oh, was he in Trainwreck? He was in Trainwreck. He was in the
he was a ton of fun.
He was very funny in that. So very good. So that's it for Doom. Any final thoughts on Doom? I've got none.
Doom's fun. I mean, it's worth a watch if you've not watched it going into this. It's worth a watch. Don't expect to remember much beyond the first person sequence. And that's fine.
All right, so let's talk a little bit, and then we'll get out of here about what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks. I think we're going to try and do 5 weeks here, and we're going to be talking. It's going to be the summer of Cronenberg. So all
summer of Cronenberg. Yes, he is releasing his first film, his first horror film, body horror certainly. In years, and I think we're pretty excited for that one. I am.
So we're gonna be focused on, I think it depends. I mean, but some of his most commercially successful time period, but also his horror heaviest time period, and that's the 1980s. We've narrowed it down. We're going to do his 80s output, and we're going to
tell him what it is, Tim.
We're going to go in order here, and I think we're going to start with Scanners. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to go into Videodrome, then Dead Zone, then The Fly, and then we're going to cap it off with Dead Ringers. And maybe we should throw in his episode of the Friday the 13th TV series at some point.
I forgot.
He does an episode called Faith Healer, which I'm sure we can find somewhere in the bowels of the internet. But
it's on Tubi.
Is Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th is not on Tubi. No.
Nightmare.
I'm sorry, Freddy's Nightmares is on Tubi. Yeah,
Freddy's Nightmares is on Tubi. So we're going to start in 1981 next week with Scanners. So I haven't seen Scanners in a long time. So I'm excited.
It's been a while for me too. I like Michael Ironside. I like Cronenberg. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Yeah, we should have done Cronenberg as an actor, Tim.
I've watched him weekly for the past 2 years on Star Trek Discovery, but also I know
sorry,
he's
what?
Too. Yeah, he's on Star Trek Discovery.
Hold on. I feel like we should take this off air, but we're not going to. Please explain.
Yeah, he plays so Star Trek Discovery at some point jumps about 5 years into the future.
Okay.
And I think Cronenberg I think he's a Star Trek fan. I think it's kind of similar to how he got the role in Jason X, which is like he wanted to be killed by Jason in the movie.
Right.
So I think this is him. He wanted to be he's a Star Trek guy. He wanted to be in Star Trek. So he plays a member. And it films in Canada. That should be said too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's they're in the 32nd century or something, and he plays a Federation official.
Does he wear the Star Trek shirt? Like, does he wear
He's mostly in suit and tie. He does wear kind of like a pin.
Okay.
Like a Trek pin. So he's kind of, I would say
God.
he's kind of like a consultant. I would compare him to something kind of like a psychiatrist.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me about this, Tim?
He's good on the show because Discovery is insanely hit or miss for me. It's it's not the best. The best Star Trek show right now is Strange New Worlds, which is amazing, like legit amazing. But Discovery is much better than Picard. But Discovery is also like, there are episodes of Discovery where I'm on my phone the whole time. I'm just like, this is boring. Like, what are we doing here?
Okay.
But then there are episodes where I love it. Like, it's great. But anyway, that's why I don't talk about it much, because sometimes I don't have much to talk about. But yeah, he has a recurring role on it. So there you go.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you.
So that's it for this week. We're going to get out of here before we test our luck with the recording any further. horrormovieyearbook@gmail.com. Shoot us an email, all those places on social media. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you next time for Scanners. Stay safe out there.